Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Playing for Sushi, Football Life in Japan. Today, we're here with the Asahi Inuro Challengers quarterback, Garrett Safran. Yeah, no, thanks for coming down city with me, and appreciate it. And so, fortunately, your guys' season ended. You're going into, this is your fourth year?
Fourth year.
Fourth year.
Mm.
And, I kind of, like I do with everybody, I kind of ran your history. I kind of watched how your career from where you started in high school to now. And, you've had a lot of, you've had a lot of ups and downs, and you've battled throughout your whole, going back from high school, you've battled a lot. And, fortunately, you also went to the same high school as a guy here in the X League who I admire a lot.
Yeah, likewise.
Ariami. Yeah, you guys went to
a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys went to Santa Monica High School where you played your career, and there was a moment there where you were gonna just hang it up after high school, huh?
Yeah, actually. So I didn't really get highly recruited coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no offers.
Yeah.
And we went through a coaching change my senior year. Travis Clark was my head coach, and he was kind of pushing my name out to coaches, but nothing was really sticking.
Yeah.
So he actually got me a shot with Sac State to kind of go out there on an official visit. He told me they were going to offer me. They didn't. So when I came back, I started crying. I remember crying on the phone, like, hey, like I'm done playing football. I'm about to go to like a party school or something. And he basically told me, he was like, that's not like, you're going to go in there, you're going to put in the work, and you're going to show them like what you're made of. And that's kind of what like changed my mindset. And I was like, okay, here I go, and continue to play football.
Yeah. A lot of athletes, right, they always have that one coach, right, that kind of, or their father figure. I've heard so many stories, right, like, no, you're gonna face it head on, right? And you went to Cal State or your HSAC, and you had a great career. Right. Yeah, you had, you put up big numbers, and I seen some of your highlights, out there bootlegging and dropping dimes and things like that. And then you had a little bit of, and then you went and tried, you went out for a little mini camp with the Raiders, and unfortunately that didn't work out, and you ended up in Italy.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, after college, I got a chance to go out and obviously train for my pro day. Went to minicamp with the Raiders, and then nothing worked out. I kind of went through like a low point. I think everyone kind of does, and I think that should be talked about more often, like athletes kind of going through that adjustment period. Yeah. But I was just at home, and I didn't really know what my next step was. I was lost. In college, all you really had was football.
Routine, too, right? Yeah.
Football, and that was taken away from me without like my approval, basically. So a team from Italy reached out. I didn't even know where Italy was. They gave me the chance to play football, and I was like, "Let's go, let's play." I just wanted to play football. It was a game I loved, basically my life. So I just wanted to continue to play, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and just kind of go back, I talked with Jabori, and when I read his story, he talked about, right, he was very open and honest with that. He goes through a depression, and,
right, of course.
You talked about your low points. Even myself, like I went, I had the same thing. I had an injury that took away my pro day, and any shot that the NFL, and it's I think a lot of players, they don't, we're like almost creatures of routine, right? You wake up, workouts, meetings, practice, school, rinse and repeat. And, it is hard, right? Especially it just gets taken away.
Exactly.
And you have no plan. Or there was no like, oh, dang, like, what do I do now?
Right.
And I think that's a lot. I think there's one thing, like I talked with Rojo, right? Like kind of seeing football as a tool and using it. And I think that's one thing. And I think that's the reason why I try to share that message with the young kids, because I don't want to see them go through the things that you've had to go through, that I've had to gone through. I don't want them to feel those low points, because it is hard, and and a lot of things and stuff, especially you talk about, it should be talked more. Right. I think pride might get in the way, right? We're football players. We're supposed to be, pound the chest, right? We're supposed to be, and it is. And and I'm glad you brought that up, because even like when a couple months ago when I retired, like
Right. It's tough. Transition.
it's
through
still,
that.
I mean, I'm only a few months removed, but man, it's still hard, and especially because of the way it happened,
Right.
And I wanted to, go out with my teammates, and that wasn't my choice, and I'm finding my ways to get through it and deal with it, and I just wanted to bring that up because you brought that, because
those are the kind of things that kind of build who you are as a man. Also, kind of fighting through those low points and things like that, kind of building yourself back up. So, I mean, it's a testament to how you are as a person, how these other players who have gone through that built themselves back up, how strong they are now going through those types of situations. So, you can take it as a positive too sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean that's football players, right?
Right.
You've gone. I mean, I don't know about your career, but I've probably lost more in my career than I've won.
Been a roller coaster.
But I've never stopped, right? And I think that for a lot of football players, right, that's what it is, right? You're not gonna, you might take us down for a bit, but we're not gonna break, right? We're gonna keep fighting.
Going.
We're gonna figure it out, figure out how to be successful. And I think, that's what makes a lot of football players, whatever field they choose to go into, I think that's what makes a lot of football players great.
Definitely.
But kind of you went to Italy. I've talked to other guys who've gone to Europe, but I think you're the only one that went to Italy.
Yeah.
Like what was, and this thing is called Playing for Sushi.
Right.
Which I kind of took off of the book that I love, Playing for Pizza.
I saw that in that first episode.
Like what was your experience like in Italy?
I mean, obviously it changed my whole perspective on life. I've been so ingrained in living in LA, going through that, and then staying in California, even going through college. I didn't even know where like year was at the time, like I said. So I got put in a whole new culture, opened my eyes up to a whole new different experience, and it really just like changed my whole life, honestly. And I loved every part of it.
So you can write Playing for Pizza Part 2?
Let's go.
Yeah. So you played there for 1 year, then you moved on to Dresden.
Dresden, right.
Dresden
I played in Italy. During Europe, I was doing a little bit of research, and they said the best league was Germany. So I was like, okay, I want a chance to play at the highest level if I'm going to be out here in Europe. A team in Dresden reached out to me, and I decided to go over there and play. Had a fun time over there.
Yeah, you had a good career, and then you moved on, and then you went to Austria.
Right? Yeah, but the
Vikings.
The funny thing is, during that time in Germany, Rojo was playing on a different team in Germany at the time. Yeah. We were kind of reaching out, talking like, what's our next play? He ended up going to Japan when I went to Austria.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So I had a good time in Austria. I felt like home, honestly, and I wanted to go back. Unfortunately, they didn't have me back. After Austria, I went to go coach at Snow College.
Okay.
Junior college.
Yeah. I have a lot of guys I grew up with and played in high school. They went to Snow. I know where Snow is.
QB coach, receiver coach. Assistant OC, and then also like an instructor. I had some classes, so I was a teacher. I was teaching some classes, and during that time, I was like, okay, like I'm not going back to Austria. I actually signed with a team in Finland, and a couple weeks later, Ojo reached out to me and said we're looking for a quarterback. So I dismissed the signing from Finland,
and you ended up here.
Like, I'm gonna go to Japan. So I ended up in Japan.
And so, I read an article that you did, and because you came to Japan, you said that Japan is a vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's funny because I read that quote, and I'm like, it is, but now I mean, you're right, and it's like, but there's so many vibes to feel.
Right.
And wherever you go, and I've seen you've traveled a lot.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
What are some of your favorite places that you've been to so far in Japan?
Top for sure, Miyakojima. Okinawa, and then if we're talking about local, I like Kyoto a lot. Okay. So I like going out there, more chill, like a lot of culture out there.
So you're an LA guy who likes nature.
Hey, I'm a beach boy too at the same time.
Well, that's why you like.
That's
why you like Okinawa
going to the ocean and catching the beach vibe. That's me.
And then Okinawa, were you guys more up north, or you guys were more towards the? Do you remember?
I think it was like the
main area.
Town,
I
forget what it's called, but
next time you go,
2 times I think.
Okay, the next time you go, just for me, I've been a bunch of times. Right. You gotta go stay way up in the middle of nowhere where there's literally nothing. That's you want to experience Okinawa? Yes, that's because that's how I am. I mean, I grew up. Yeah, when I went to Okinawa, I was like, man, this is just like home. everybody speaks Japanese.
Right.
So yeah, like every time I go, I take my family and we always go stay up towards like Naha, the area more.
Oh
up.
yeah, Naha. Yeah.
Like way up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get there one day.
Yeah. So, and so you came here.
Right.
And you've been here 4 years now, and you know what was like Osaka and things like that. What was your first experiences? And you know, you had been around right. internationally and things like that. Were there some adjusting that needed to be?
Right. Yeah. Of course.
What?
So we tried out February 1st of 2019. 2 weeks later, I was in Japan. I was out here 2 months by myself. I'm looking around like, I'm about to go back home. I don't know what I'm doing out here. Like I don't know anywhere. I don't know how to take train. I don't know how to do anything. I just know how to go to the facility and back. So I did that for 2 months, waited for the American guys to come out here. And once they all came out here, we had a good little group, and I started to become more comfortable with my teammates, coaches, things like that. So they made it an easy process, kind of transition into this type of culture.
And yeah, you guys were right. You guys had a close knit. I remember I used to watch you guys on social media, right?
Yeah.
You, Rojo, Mike, and Bryson, and Les, who's now playing with Panasonic, but he was with you guys at the Challengers for a bit. The five of you were always tight knit, and I kind of want to bring up. You guys had a. I think it was viral. Yeah.
Here we go.
I thought it was hilarious, but you guys are all dressed up. Dinosaurs.
Yeah, Halloween. Yeah. I mean, we heard that Halloween is like the biggest holiday. Everyone dresses up.
Oh,
so, they go in on Halloween.
Have you gone to Tokyo yet?
I haven't gone to Tokyo, but
I've been to Osaka. Osaka's a good time.
Yeah, Tokyo different.
Tokyo's a little bit different.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen. I mean, I know you've probably been to Shibuya, right? The
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I've seen that intersection completely covered with people, and I couldn't see the road.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And not just right there. Like I'm talking about up the road.
That's a different
on the
experience.
side. Yeah. That was insane to.
Yeah,
but I remember watching. I was like, and I hadn't met you guys yet.
Right.
Man, these guys seem like a good time. Like,
right.
I might need to go to Osaka.
Oh, man, we welcome everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had that time. It was just fun to be a part of that. We were in the X1 area at the time too, so we were just having fun, enjoying it. We didn't know how long we were going to be out here. After 2019, they signed us to a multiple year contract, so that gave us more motive to be like, okay, let's lock in.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, right, with COVID and things like that, you guys had been stuck in area for a little bit, but now you're back in the Challenge, are back up in the Super.
Right.
Kind of what was, the things that you might have saw differently from playing with the area teams to this year? You didn't get to play everybody in the Super, but you played most of the majority of the teams.
I'm gonna be honest, I underestimated it a little bit. I felt like it was probably gonna be a little bit same as the area. Came in, first game woke my eyes up. I was like, oh, well, like I gotta lock in. I gotta be a lot more serious, put a lot more time in, work out a lot harder, like cut out all the BS, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta lock in. It's good football out here. These dudes come and play, especially the Japanese players and things like that. They really want to show out. So transitioning that, getting my mindset right, I think that was the biggest shift. And just like over communicating with everybody and trying to get our team all on the same page.
I don't think you can ever over communicate in football.
At
least on defense. Yeah. I mean, on defense, we gotta, I was taught you can never over communicate.
Right.
So, but you guys had a good season, and in my eyes, coming from the area, right? I mean, I know you don't, as a competitor, I know quarterfinals isn't enough for you.
Right.
But was it kind of and I mean within the team, was it kind of a validation that you guys, the years you guys were stuck in the area,
right?
Your guys' first year in Super, make it to the playoffs,
right?
Actually go toe to toe with Pana for a little bit,
right.
And then you guys had a close one, unfortunately, but.
Right.
Was it a bit of a validation for you guys in the team?
I felt that way personally, just kind of validating like we got a good team, but like Rojo was saying, that's the standard now. So we can't fall below the standard. We saw how hard we worked, we saw how much film we watched, and we didn't come close to our goal. So this standard now, we got to raise it for next year if we want to accomplish and try to beat those good teams out there.
Yeah, I mean, right, you guys compete, and some of your games you guys were close,
right?
And it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So,
right.
I hope for the guys and stuff like that. You guys can kind of like take the off season, like, all right, right, this is what we have to work on to take that next step. And I mean, yeah, so you're going on, and this year you had two rookies on defense and things like that. Kind of, how was it? I guess now, right? Because you were like, I guess the rookie, and Rojo was kind of the guy that helped you and things like that. Like, what was it like, kind of being in that position now, where you're kind of the guy? You've been here for a while, kind of helping them navigate, I guess, the game life here.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing was kind of giving like the little inputs and little like tips of like how to like be successful, or like what they're looking for as an American player. Kind of they want you to play special teams, they want you to go out there and have a voice, and try to be like a coach in a way. Trying to just give them those little details of like what the team is looking for them out of being an American player.
Yeah. And so, like, and I asked some guys too, like, who have been some of the guys on the challengers that have, caught your eye, since you've been here, and some of the guys you are always excited on game day to see what they can do.
Obviously, I got to give shout out to my O-line. They be holding it down. yeah. My center.
That's a good quarterback.
Yeah, come on now. They be holding it down. They be doing their best. So, I got to give love to them. And our receiving core, we're such a tight-knit group. We call ourselves Air Force. We go out there and make plays. We come together, we watch sit in meetings together, watch film together, come in with game plan together. So those my guys, especially Abe and Kame. I think Rojo mentioned them before.
Yeah.
Big playmakers for us on the field.
When you first came in on the team, did the O-line try and take you out and get you drunk?
Yeah, I actually had a rookie dinner, like a welcome party for myself. Not drunk, but they took me to yakitori and they overfed me. I was like, yo, I can't eat no more. And I remember our center, Cooney, was okay, I'll take it. Kept on eating, but yeah, it was a fun experience. Really welcomed me.
Were you scared? I mean, because rookie dinners, I guess in the NFL or back in the States, right, rookie dinners work a little differently. Were you a little bit nervous?
I don't know. That receipt came out this long.
And and you thought you were about to pay up?
I would have held it down if I had to. But no, they all came together and paid for it.
I remember, because so my rookie year, I remember they were like, oh yeah, we're having a rookie dinner. And I'm like, oh man. Because they told me where the restaurant was, and I looked up the menu, and I'm like, oh no, here we go. And I'm like, oh.
You get a little scary.
I was like, I might argue about this.
Right.
And and then like it threw me off, right? Because it was the older guys. It was right here in Japan, right? It was the senpais that paid for it. And I was like, oh, this is awesome.
That's awesome.
And I learning that dynamic, and I used to, early in my career, because a lot of guys always ask me like, oh, how do you speak in Japanese? I used to go and I loved KJ and I loved Frank, and it wasn't that I didn't want to hang out with them. I used to go and just with my Japanese guys because I wanted to learn the language. Yeah. And the reason why I asked you was because what they used to try and do was they used to just try and get me as drunk as they could. Like I would like have a beer, like they would slide me a beer, and like I'd be like, oh, okay, and I'd maybe be like about halfway through, and like another one would come, and I'd be like,
you gotta finish that one.
Yeah, and they're like, DJ, come on, let's go, and I'm like, oh, here we go. So at least your teammates are nice.
Yeah,
my
nice.
team.
Yeah.
I love my guys, man. They were, it was a good time. A lot of those guys are from those days have retired, and we still see
them stories, though.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of stories I could tell. I don't know if we could tell them here.
Keep PG over here.
No, yeah. So, I mean, how has it been? So you played in Italy, you played in Germany, Austria,
coach
and
in
now
Utah,
and now you're playing in Japan. So I've talked to, I don't know if you know him, but the Dentsu quarterback. He's kind of similar to you. He was Australia, Germany, all over the place in Europe. And kind of what has been the differences that you've seen in the game there compared to here?
Got you. I think the biggest difference is the knowledge of the game. I think that the Japanese put in way much more work in studying the playbook. I think that they are like really in tune of I think college coaches like really teach them how to play football. Obviously in Europe they don't have college program, so they really get that level of like going into the super with a lot of knowledge. And then as a quarterback, you're seeing all these different types of coverages, blitzes coming. You don't really see that out there in Europe. You kind of stay like in coverage.
It's similar to what Aaron said. Aaron said there was like he would say like an Austrian cover 4. There was like,
Right.
you know, when you go to Germany, there's a German way of
Yeah.
running cover 4
Right.
and things like that. So
They'll stay too deep out there in Europe. Out here, you'll see man-to-man, you'll see cover 3, cover 2,
yeah, I mean,
quarter, half, all of it.
and I mean, I'm very lucky. I had like our playbook at OPIC was maybe about like that.
Oh,
Yeah, like we had like any front you could figure out,
right, that's
we
what
had
I'm
it.
saying.
Any blitz you could
Yeah.
think of, we had it. Any stunts,
Yeah,
any
it's a lot
like,
more complex,
Yeah,
so.
and I mean any coverage, you know, and it was always interesting. Yeah, like 'cause I would sit and I would watch. I remember, you know, and I'm sure you had a similar situation.
Right,
Kind of tell me if not, right? You're sitting in a meeting.
right.
The coach, the OC or the OC for you, right, is talking. You have no idea what he's saying, but the diagram makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was just like football terms is like universal. So
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay, like, I get what he's saying.
Yeah. So I remember like my first year, I'd be sitting in meetings and I'd be like looking at the board and I'd be like, what's my position? They're like, this one, okay. And I would
Gotcha.
just honestly just look at that one and
Yeah.
whatever that one had to do, that was kind
You're
of
locked
it.
in,
Because
right.
like, I was like, if I try and look at everything else, I ain't
Right.
gonna, you know, and I remember talking to guys and things like that. I was curious to like, what was your first experience, right? Like with
I think my biggest transition was like the playbook. I didn't really enjoy our playbook our first year, so I wanted to come in with my own ideas and kind of grasp our OC's ideas, my OC's ideas, and kind of put them together. I think that was the biggest transition, but I think when everyone got on the same page, we started moving pretty well.
Yeah, and I mean that's, you know, for me, I mean I played offense for 2 years. That was when I was like 7 and 8 years old. I played O-line, but you know, through my football career, right? And you look at the NFL, right? You look at like some of the best teams, right? The OC and the quarterback work in unison. So, you know, I mean, this year they're struggling, but you look at LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. You look at Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady, right? Mike Shanahan and Jimmy G.
Of course.
Like, they have to be on the same page because you guys are pretty much the guy. I mean, quarterbacks, right, always said the most important because you guys touch the ball. You guys have to know everything. And so, yeah, I mean, that's really important. And I hope you guys can start building on that more. And, you know, just going on into the future, like I asked Rojo, what are some of the things that you want to see, I guess, just for the challengers and then just for football overall?
I think challengers, all 3 phases can grow. Like I said, the standard is set, so we got to grow in all 3 phases: offense, defense, special teams. If we want to win those tough games, we got to be. You can't be perfect, but you can't make those like little mistakes that can cost you the game. And for the X League, I might get some backlash for this one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like
you can be honest, man.
I'm gonna be honest. Some of the top players coming out of college. Obviously go to the top teams. I would like to see a mixture of Japanese players. I'm not complaining or anything, but I think it'd be a little more competitive as a league if some of those players go to different teams, not just always like go to the top teams. Yeah, if that makes sense.
No, I mean that's not. I don't think you're gonna catch backlash for that. I mean that's something, right? I mean honestly, because what you're saying is you just want to see more of less despair, like you know what I mean. You want to have
NFL. They got a draft. You know what I mean. We don't necessarily have that.
Yeah. I mean, but you would want to see the parity between teams just kind of even out. Right. You look at, you know, we're doing this on Thanksgiving back in the States, right? But the Lions went toe to toe with the Buffalo Bills.
That's what I'm saying, one of the best
right?
teams
Where
in football.
The Lions at one point in the season were like the worst team.
Yeah, of course.
And the Buffalo Bills were like the best team, where you would look at it like this, but really it's like pretty almost close. Like this because and everybody's professional and things like that. But no, you know, and I mean, when I asked that question, I want, you know, like Adi, we talked like the very, very first episode with Adi, he talked about how Japan football wasn't always upward, right? It was up, plateau, up, and plateau. And I felt the same way, and I was glad, you know, I want guys to be more honest, you know, because, you know, this show, and I hope, you know, people take in the ideas because we can, right? You see what this could be. I've seen it for a long time, what it could be, and with this show and things like that, guys like you, I hope we can help this game grow.
Yeah, of course.
And you really want to see Japan football take off, and I hope that's kind of like the game where
blows up. Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets more like attention on Japan football and
Mhm.
things like that. That's another big thing too. We could market it a little bit better, also kind of get it worldwide and things like that.
Yeah.
I think the ELF out there in Europe, I think they do a good job at like marketing and getting players out there, posting on all over social media and things like that.
Yeah. Well, things like this, like I say with this show, I hope
Yeah,
it
of
starts
course.
to, you know, a lot of you guys, right? You guys all have big followings, you know, your
Yeah.
guys' families and things like that, and I hope it just kind of like spreads out. And there's a lot of players I still haven't interviewed and sat down with, you
Right.
know, but Garrett, I mean, just, you know, I want to just say, like, keep balling, man.
Appreciate
Stay
that.
healthy. I love, you know, you're one of the few quarterbacks I never got to sack, so.
I'm happy for that. I'll tell you that much. Thank you.
You know, no, but you know, I enjoy watching you, man. You look like you have a lot of fun out there.
Appreciate
But
that.
just stay healthy, and I hope you have a long career, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.